Hello there, it's me, Clayton. I just finished watching Batman Death in the Family, which also happens to give us four DC Showcase shorts about Sergeant Rock, Death, Adam Strange, and the Phantom Stranger. Now, when it comes to Batman Death in the Family, the original storyline in the comics was rather controversial, giving the fans the opportunity to choose whether Jason Todd, the Robin of the time, would end up in the story alive or dead, and his death at the hands of the Joker, and subsequent rebirth by Ra's al Ghul and return as Red Hood, inspired the absolutely excellent Batman Under the Red Hood animated film in 2010, which still stands as one of the best Batman films of the modern age, in my opinion. So, when it comes to the release of Death in the Family, however, there's a clear difference between the physical and digital releases that makes the digital one almost worthless, but the physical one is interesting. Let's get to the what you get, alright? This basically Death in the Family is meant to be a follow-up to Under the Red Hood, where the viewer is actually given the choice to see how the story goes. You could either have the story happen exactly how it happened in Under the Red Hood, or you could choose to have Jason live in his in the initial attack, or you could choose various other story points to make things different from the comics. Granted, some of these choices are better than others. One choice actually ended the film after just a few minutes, and one, which also is included in the digital release, features 25 to 30 solid minutes of just Batman recapping the events of Under the Red Hood while also reusing animation from Under the Red Hood as well, making the digital release practically a ripoff. Especially considering you have to hear Batman's narration the whole time over footage of a film that you'd actually rather be watching than this. But some of the other choices are interesting, and they do actually offer some what if scenarios for how the storyline could have gone if the vote was different, which I always like seeing. Granted, stuff like the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt or Black Mirror ultimately did the interactive portions of series, like sort of like a choose your own adventure book style. They did that sort of thing a little bit better, in my opinion. But I do think Death in the Family does at least do a decent effort with it, if it's with the physical release. The digital version just should be avoided at all costs. But, considering there's not much else to talk about with Batman Death of the Family, other than the fact that the animation is surprisingly downgraded in comparison to Under the Red Hood, it's the fact that with the purchase of the film, you also get four DC shorts, so you have about an hour of shorts to give you plenty of bang for your buck. The first short, Sergeant Rock, is pretty fun. With a World War II story about Sergeant Rock fighting Nazis and zombie soldiers, essentially feeling like the DC version of Wolfenstein. The second short is about Adam Strange, and it's interesting watching DC taking on a futuristic story. And Adam Strange does seem like a fairly interesting character to follow for those who aren't familiar with him in the comics. The third story, Phantom Stranger, essentially feels like a DC version of a Twilight Zone episode, with Phantom Stranger almost seeming like both a supernatural superhero and a Rod Serling type when it comes to the story being presented there. And it's got some neat animation during the fight scenes. But the final short, Death, is honestly my favorite. Based on the Neil Gaiman character, it allows for a spooky performance by Jamie Chung, and probably one of the most emotionally resonant stories you get out of this entire package. Even more so, I'd say, than the actual Death in the Family movie. I'd almost say that it's worth a purchase for just for that short. But as an entire package, Batman Death of the Family is full of a ton of upsides and downsides. On one hand, it's interesting to see the what if scenarios when it comes to the overall film, but that's only available in the physical release. Plus, some of the shorts are cool. But a lot of the content that makes it a worthy purchase is content that's completely unrelated to Batman Death in the Family, and the digital release just has a 25 to 30 minute recap that's practically pointless to watch if you've watched Under the Red Hood, which you probably already have. So, tough call, but for the physical release, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. And digitally, you should just avoid it at all costs. See you next time.